Good evening. It is Monday, October 23rd, 2017, 7 p.m. This is a Speedway Town Council meeting. We're glad for several people being in attendance this evening and those watching at home. I'd like to introduce those participating in the meeting this evening and then move on to the Pledge of Allegiance. So to my far right is Councilor Eileen Fisher.
Good evening.
To my immediate right is Vice President of the Council, Jeff Matthews.
Good evening.
And I have to my immediate left, Jason Delisle, who's also a counselor.
Good evening.
And our town manager, Jacob Blaisdell.
Greetings.
Our clerk treasurer, Monty Coombs.
Good evening.
And we have our illustrious attorney with us this evening, Bob Clutter. Excuse me, Bob Clutter. So with that, we're going to move on to the pledge. If everyone would rise and please salute the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. So the first couple of items on the agenda are minutes from previous meetings. The first one is approval of the Town Council meeting on October 9th. It was our regular session. Any questions or changes from council this evening? Hearing none, we'll accept those as previously distributed. The next item is approval of memorandum from that same evening. It was an executive session, October 9th. Any changes or comments to that? Hearing none, we'll accept those and approve those as well. The first item beyond that is a proclamation for St. Andrew's Lutheran Church. If Pastor Dan and others would come forward, we'd love to hear a little bit about what you're doing and then talk to you about a proclamation that we have in place. If you'd like to come to the podium, please.
Go ahead, Dan. You can.
Well, thank you. I'm Dan Strobel, pastor at St. Andrew's Lutheran. Our big celebration is this Sunday morning, beginning at 10:30 with Bishop William Guffian, who is the bishop of the Indiana-Kentucky Synod of the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America. And in addition to celebrating the 75th anniversary of St. Andrew's here in Speedway, it is also the celebration of the 500th year of the Protestant Reformation, when Luther nailed the 95 Theses to the church door. And so there's lots of celebrating going on in many, many Protestant congregations, not only Lutheran, but all these congregations that came down from Lutheranism originally. So we are also going to have a luncheon following worship on that day, and we welcome whoever would like to come and join us. And we were very honored to hear that we were going to be mentioned at this town council meeting. We greatly appreciate that.
Great.
Jim, did you want to say something?
I'll just introduce myself. I'm Jim Patton, Vice President of the Council, and I think one of the things we've been focusing on is getting more and more out into the community and becoming a part of the community rather than trying to get the community to come to us. So, again, thank you for this great proclamation this evening.
Yeah. That's fantastic. If you just stay there for a second, I think Councilor Fisher will bring this proclamation to you, and I'll go ahead and read it for the public, and then maybe we'll get some pictures taken. If anybody that's with you from St. Andrews, once we're done reading this proclamation, wants to stand behind you as we get a picture, you'd be welcome to do that. I see some folks shaking their heads no. I see some other people pushing people forward, so we'll see who wins on that. But this proclamation is honoring St. Andrew's Lutheran Church, whereas St. Andrew's Lutheran Church of Speedway, Indiana is celebrating 75th anniversary, and whereas St. Andrew's Lutheran Church's mission is guided by the Spirit, we share the love of Jesus and walk in it with our community, and whereas St. Andrew's Lutheran Church has been a valuable and contributing member of the Speedway community since its inception 75 years ago, and whereas St. Andrew's Lutheran Church will be celebrating its 75th anniversary on October 29th, 2017, the 500th anniversary of the Reformation, and whereas the citizens of the town of Speedway and the town council wish to express their gratitude, our gratitude, and appreciation for 75 years of service to this community. Now therefore be it resolved that the Speedway Town Council does hereby proclaim the 29th day of October 2017 as St. Andrew's Lutheran Church Day in the town of Speedway, adopted this 23rd day of October 2017 by this council. So with that, I just want to...
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
With that, I'll start off. I'm sure other counselors might have a comment or two, but Pastor Dan, I've known you for a number of years now, and just as a man, as a leader, I appreciate you. I don't go to your church, but I know many who do, many who have. My wife's taught preschool there when you had a preschool for a number of years. Just know the quality of work that you do and that you've led. And just as a pastor, we appreciate your work because that just transcends down or goes down to the people that you lead. So thank you for your efforts.
Thank you.
Churches like yourself and make our communities much stronger as well, too. So thank you for all the years that you've been here.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
And I'd like to congratulate you. I spent my very first year in grade school. I guess it wasn't grade school. I guess it was preschool with Mrs. Stewart. She was my teacher. So congratulations, you guys.
Mrs. Stewart's actually in the back. She's shaking her head.
She helped mold me, so here I am.
Don't go away. Anybody else would want to say anything?
Well, I was at preschool there at St. Andrews, too. I think there was a location in the shopping center, wasn't there?
That was the second facility. The
Okay.
first facility is really right nearby here. The small church building across the street from St. Christopher
Oh, yeah.
is the original St. Andrews that was built in 1949.
Okay.
And then, I believe 1960, am I right? 1960 is when they moved to the shopping center, and then, of course, 1990 in their third building.
Very nice.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I'll just add that personally, Pastor Strobel's been around my life for some of the bigger moments of my life. He's a great man, a great advisor. Even tried to talk me out of marrying my wife. It was called marriage counseling, but it seemed like I don't know. But no, this is a great day, and really thankful you guys came in and let us celebrate with you.
Do you want to take any part of that back?
Is it on video? Can we cut it?
Your wife was doing this in the office. So I don't know.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
Actually, if anybody wanted to come forward with you and just maybe take a picture, we'd be glad to do that. Somewhat informal, but if you come this way, if someone out there would like to take a picture, we'll just kind of stand behind the table as you stand right in front of us.
Sure. Thank you.
That's fine.
Come up. Come up. My mother-in-law. Yeah, come on now.
Carrie, you can take it.
Hold on. You can hold him.
Eileen, I can't get you. Okay, let's see.
I know. I'm back
I'm
here.
trying to get everyone in here.
Smile, everybody. We're really okay with this.
Ready?
We're trying to get Landon's attention.
Landon.
All right, there's more. Okay, you're all good. I got a few.
Thanks, everybody. Congratulations again.
Thank you so much.
Blessings. Yeah, thank you. I think a few folks are going to leave, so I'll just make another comment. For me personally, the years I've been on the council, we've recognized various churches and philanthropic groups in the town, like the Lions and others that have been around for an amazing number of years. And it seems like it was just a year ago, it was the Lions at 75, but I think it's probably more like 5 years ago, and other churches as well. So our town turned 90 a couple of years ago, and here we are a couple of years past that. So we're well on our way to being 100. It'll be interesting to celebrate that in 2026. So, all right, we'll move on in the agenda. Thanks everybody for taking a moment to do that. The Fifth item on the agenda is a request for road closure of the American Cancer Society 5K on December 2nd. Lee O'Connor, would you like to come forward?
I'm sorry, I'm actually going to step in for Lee if you don't mind. And
Could you give us your name, please?
Erica Schunkweiler.
Thank you.
Yes, and I do have a handout to go ahead and provide all of you two handouts. I'm a teacher, as you can see. So Erica Schunkweiler with IUPUI. I am an instructor in the Tourism, Conventions, and Event Management Department there. And we have a group of students, two of which have joined me tonight, that a part of their educational experience is that as seniors, they plan a community event for a nonprofit as their final class project. No lecture, no exam, no more listening to me talk. They actually get out and they do it. So with my supervision and support, we're working this semester with the American Cancer Society of Indiana and Stephanie Turchin. And she specifically wanted to do something to engage the town of Speedway and Wayne Township specifically. And so they wanted to do something a little different. The students worked with them to kind of come up with an idea for a holiday 5K and festival on December 2nd to happen down on Main Street in Speedway. We've had great conversations with Connie Harris at the Chamber. She's been absolutely lovely and couldn't be more supportive. If anything, if I get my way, by the end of the semester, she may end up with one of our students as an intern. So. But I've given you guys some details of the event here that the students are working on, specifically some of the anticipated activities. We are working with Racemaker Productions and Lee O'Connor to help manage the race component. On the back, I've got the 5K route. We plan to use the bike path down Main Street and then the bike path that runs along Crawfordsville Road. We are working with Jason at the police department to make sure that security and first aid and everything would be properly taken care of. Right now, we don't think that there'll be a need for any road closures, just a few areas that'll need to be manned by police. The only exception to that is Gilman Street. Right now, we don't plan on using that because we plan on using the grassy area just to the south of Daredevil, which we've been in communications with Shane, lovely guy, and is donating the space also kindly. So we plan to use that space, but as we all know, December, Indiana, you never know what you're going to get. So with the potential of mud, the plan B is to use the parking lots back there to be able to have some of those kids and family-friendly activities. If that were the case, we would need to shut down Gilman Street just for that afternoon from 10 to 4. So we wanted to make sure that we included that contingency today in our request. So we're looking to approve the event and then also that contingency of street closure.
Great. Thank you for that. Jacob, do you have any information to add to this, other events, anything else that you know of? Not that I'm putting you on the spot here, no, that you would have known.
No concerns that I'm aware of. Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. President, I move that we approve the request for road closure for the American Cancer Society 5K on December 2nd.
Second.
We have a motion to approve the road closure on December 2nd. Any comments or questions? I guess I was premature in my question, sorry.
This is very well thought out. I think you should give all of your students A's. Very well done.
Well, I have to say thank you so much for allowing us to be here tonight. It's an excellent educational experience to learn how to close down a city street and work with the town council, so I appreciate it greatly.
Great. Well, with that, we'll go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor of approving the request for road closure on December 2nd as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It carries 4-0, and we look forward to December 2nd, but not too fast. Okay? Not too soon. All right. Ordinance 1296. We have a few here in a row that we're at the time of year with budgets, so I'll say right now that it is, actually, I need to have a motion for Ordinance 1296 before I can proceed.
Mr. President, I move that we approve Ordinance 1296 on second reading.
Second.
Okay, we have that motion, and we need to have some public comment, so it's 7:13. Are there any public comments? I'll call the public comment section or hearing to order. Are there any comments from the public regarding Ordinance 1296? Hearing none, I'll close those public comments at 7:14. And any comments from the council? Okay. All those in favor of approving ordinance 1296 on second reading as presented, say aye.
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 Opposed? This is approved 4-0. I want to thank, I know we have some others to approve here, but I want to thank Jacob, Monty, and our whole staff for the efforts that they've put in on this and everything else as we move forward with our 2018 budget. We have representatives from Crow Horwath here this evening. They've been a partner with us for a long time working on our budgets and other financial purposes, and we thank them as well. Moving on to ordinance 1297.
Mr. President, I move that we approve ordinance 1297, which is the approval for 2018 budget for School Town Speedway, second reading.
Second.
We have a motion for approval of 1297. It's 7:15, and I'll call the public hearing to order for comments on ordinance 1297. Any comments from the public on this? Hearing none, I'll close it magically at 7:16 and ask for any comments or questions from council or other members. Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of approving 1297, ordinance 1297, the School Town of Speedway's budget for the second reading, say aye.
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 Opposed? That's approved 4-0. And now on to 1298.
Mr. President, I move that we approve ordinance 1298 for the 2018 budget for the Speedway Public Library, second reading.
Second.
We have a motion for ordinance 1298, and it is 7:17, and I'll call the public hearing portion of this to order. Are there any comments from the public on the Speedway Public Library's 2018 budget, second reading? Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing at 7:18 and ask the council and other members if they have any comments. All those in favor of approving 1298, the Public Library budget for 2018, second reading, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries 4-0. And now on to 1299.
Mr. President, I move that we approve ordinance 1299, approval of 2018 budget for Speedway Public Transportation, second reading.
Second.
We have a motion to approve ordinance 1299, the Speedway Public Transportation 2018 budget. It's 7:18, and I'll call the public hearing portion to order for 1299. Again, ask for the public to make comments or questions. There are none. Then we'll call the public hearing closed at 7:19 and ask comments from the council. Hearing none, we'll call for the vote on it for ordinance 1299. All those in favor of approving it, say aye.
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 Opposed? This is 4-0, and it's also approved. Okay. That might be a good time.
Want to do it now?
Yeah,
Come.
I'm going to add an item to the agenda right there because the Speedway Public Transportation Board is short at least one member, and we have a citizen who's interested and willing to serve on that. So if someone wants to make a motion to appoint, that would be a good time.
Yep, Mr. President, I would like to nominate Chris Wheeler for the Transportation Board.
Mr. President, I move that we approve or close the nomination.
Second.
Okay. So we have a motion to close the nominations, and we have one nomination presented that was for Chris Wheeler. All those in favor of closing the nominations, say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, so those are closed, and I'll go ahead and call for a vote. All those in favor of approving Chris as appointing to the Speedway Public Transportation Board, say aye.
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 Opposed? Chris is appointed 4-0. Okay. Now we're on to a report from our clerk treasurer as well as claims and utility adjustments.
Thank you, Mr. President. I've submitted to you and the council the claims for the period of October 7th through October 20th on Friday, and would appreciate your approval.
Mr. President, I move that we approve the claims as presented by Clerk Treasurer.
Second.
We have a motion to approve the claims by the clerk treasurer. Any comments or questions from the audience? Any from the council? All those in favor of approving the claims, say aye.
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 Opposed? They're approved 4-0.
Thank you. Utility adjustments, you'll see one on the sheet for this same period from October 7th through October 20th, and would appreciate your approval as well.
Mr. President, I move that we accept or approve the adjustments as presented.
Second.
We have a motion to approve the utility adjustment. Any comments from the audience? Any from the council? All those in favor of approving the utility adjustment, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries 4-0. Anything else, Monty?
No, sir.
And now a report from our town manager, Jacob Blaisdell.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. This past Friday night, the Seeds of Light sculpture on the circle, the roundabout, up kind of the other side of Gate 1 of the Motor Speedway, received the Monumental Award from the Indy Chamber of Commerce for Public Art, which I don't take credit for. I wasn't the town manager when that all went into place, to be clear, but I know a lot of people worked on it. It was a really neat collaborative project throughout town, and it's just neat to have, I mean, a lot of public art goes up every year in central Indiana. It's really neat to see that our sculpture was one of the awards. So kudos to everybody that worked really hard on that, and hopefully you take pride in it in itself, but now it has an award. You can just stamp that on there as well. Want to have an update, provide an update on the Speedway War Memorial. I know it's been talked about for a while to have a war memorial where there was an old IPL substation on Main Street right by Charlie Brown's. It's been a slow-going process. IPL and its parent company are pretty large companies. I know a little bit about it, and it's tough to get some things moving sometimes. But we took a final tour of the grounds, I should call it, this past Friday, and things looked good. I think we're going to be able to move forward with it. The redevelopment commission will actually be the purchasing entity. And they approved the agreement earlier tonight. So I know a lot of people bought bricks, and besides buying bricks, just want to see the project move forward. And so we're working pretty hard to make that happen. And I think it took some pretty big steps these past couple of weeks. Also want to mention the B&O Trail. That's a project that I'm excited about. I know a lot of others are as well. Of course, we've paved part of it just next to Main Street on the east side. But the plan, of course, is to pave that all the way out to Eagle Creek. And there's been some technical difficulties in getting the right-of-way cleared, but we did finally clear the right-of-way. And we will be putting the project to pave that out to bid in December. And we should be getting bids back late January, maybe late February. And at that point, we'll have more of a timeline and a schedule for that. So that's, I'm really excited about it. I know it's, trails are just seen as a very vital component to any great community. And of course, the property along the Monon Trail throughout Indianapolis and up to Carmel is kind of seen as one article I saw joked, it's the beachfront property of Indianapolis. And, it's as much as we can get that, and so it'll be a really great trail that'll, again, feed right into Main Street. So excited to see that project finally moving forward. And then last but not least, some folks might be aware, but our Assistant Fire Chief, Mike Lynch, has tendered his resignation for the position. Unfortunately, he served us very well for over 2 years, and he's been very helpful to me as I got acclimated in the town manager position and starting to understand fire operations and the fire budget. So it's a loss. He feels called to a different position, and I'm very happy for him. But it's disappointing on our end. So on that sad note, I will conclude the town manager's report.
Great, thank you for that. We'll move on to reports from council members. Actually, I'll ask our attorney if he has anything to report this evening. All right.
Nothing.
Okay, that's
Thanks
great.
for asking.
No problem. And then go to Eileen Fisher for any reports this
I
evening.
have nothing this evening, thank you.
Jason Delisle,
Nothing for me.
Jeff Matthews.
Mr. President, all I have tonight is I'd like to thank Jacob and Tim Gropp, who's not here. He's our Economic Development Director. These guys are early in their freshman years here, and they've done a tremendous job, so I want to say thank you. You're doing a great job.
Appreciate it.
That's all I've got.
Here to that. I want to thank Mike Lynch. Mike left a position with the church to join the town of Speedway, and it's kind of an interesting move that he made to come here, and now he's going back to a different church in a similar type role. It's only fitting that he do that and announce that last week, and then this evening we're recognizing one of our churches in our town. Just in terms of service, I think Mike's a good man, and he served us well for just a couple plus years, but he'll go on and do good things, and we're better because of Mike's participation here. So I thank him for that, and look forward to where we go next with our fire department and our assistant chief. I don't have anything else to report other than it's close to the night where I think we're going to celebrate on the 28th here in Speedway. Is that right? Where little kids walk the street and beg for candy. And I believe there's a trunk or treat going on at the American Legion that same evening, like 5:30, I believe it starts. It's a great place. It's a safe place to take your kids. They can literally go grab in 30, 40, 50 cars, trunks with lots of adults and good lighting around, and get that same free candy. It's a very safe place for kids to do that. So just more importantly, what I wanted to mention is just be aware that little kids are going to be out on the street, sometimes in dark clothing, in the dark of night. So we want to make sure we don't have any bad things happen to them with vehicles and whatnot. So that's it. It's 7:27, and unless there's something else, I'll go ahead and call this meeting adjourned.